Something as simple as going to a game of football is an occasion that most of us take for granted. Many of us will have been heading along to Celtic Park and beyond from an early age to watch your team in action, and win, lose or draw, the process of actually getting to the game is pretty straightforward. For today's very special guest though, that pastime isn't quite so easy. Despite that, however, the man and dog who are sitting with me today have gone on to write their names in Scottish football history. Jon, welcome to the show. Can you tell us about the challenge that you and Sam have just completed and how it all came about?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Tino, for having us on. I really appreciate it. So Sam and I have just completed visiting all 42 SPFL grounds, all the way from the Premiership down to the bottom of League Two, and we've done that over the past sort of 2.5 years, really. And it was just a sort of personal challenge. It turned into, this really big thing that has just been so supported by everybody across Scottish football, and it's just been the most incredible journey. Something I wasn't actually sure if we were going to be able to achieve or not, because we were doing it all by public transport as well.
And public transport isn't always the best in Scotland, but have you found that quite accessible?
It's you know how ScotRail is, don't you? That's what I always say to people though. That has actually been that's been the most challenging part of this whole journey. Actually, is planning the journey, because you can't just say where am I going today? I'll go up there today and just jump on a train. You got to sort of plan your assistance at the train station and things like that, and deal with cancellations or strikes or whatever's happening that can throw off your journey and stuff. And we've had a few of that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's fun and games at the best of times with public transport.
Yeah.
So, and I think that could be a separate episode in itself, Jon. So we'll move past that. Just to put some numbers and some detail on the challenge. So you started, I believe, at Dens Park on the 1st of February 2022.
That's right. Yeah. Completed
at Forfar Station Park just on Saturday there, the 21st of September. 963 days, 42 SPFL grounds completed. An amazing achievement. What was the day like for you and Sam at Station Park on Saturday?
It was so surreal to actually be there for ground number 42 out of 42. It was it was such a special day as well, because the SPFL came along, and at the end of the game, they took us onto the pitch at Station Park and presented myself with a special recognition award from the SPFL, and Sam got his own SPFL medal as well, which I believe is actually probably the first time a non-league winning player or manager has had a medal presented to them by the SPFL. So yeah, that was such an honour, and really just kind of rounded off a special day, really. Yeah,
a brilliant moment. There's a great video. The SPFL have put out footage of that on their own YouTube channel. We'll link to it as well, actually, in the show notes, so people can get an idea of what we're talking about. But just looked like a brilliant day all round. And as you say, you get your trophy, which is great, and Sam gets his medal, so everybody wins on the day.
It was really good. And actually, there was a reason that we I deliberately picked Forfar to finish it at Station Park, because Forfar is also the town where the big guide dogs training school is here in Scotland, and that's where Sam started his training, many years ago. So it actually seemed like the most appropriate place to finish the story, really.
I was going to say, I was going to ask the very question, and that explains it. And it seems like the perfect place to finish the challenge. Jon, tell us a bit more about Sam. When did he first come into your life, and what kind of impact has he had on your life?
Yeah, so me and Sam were actually partnered together in the summer of 2018. So we've been together just over 6 years now, and the impact he's had on my life is between night and day. Before I had a guide dog, I struggled even to have the confidence to walk along to the end of the street to go to the shop by myself. And now imagine, if you said to me before having Sam that you would take the train yourself with the dog and go around the entire country to some of the most remote places and visit all these football grounds, I would have laughed at you and said, there's no way that could be possible. So over the years that I've had Sam, he's just really helped build up my own confidence, and and just means that I can live my life the way that I want to without having to rely on other people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just on that, Jon, quite simply, would you say Sam has been life-changing for you?
1,000,000%. Yeah, he really has changed my life quite considerably. It's just before I had a guide dog, I was getting around with my long cane, and I'd never really had very good long cane skills. Even to this day, I still don't have good skills with it. And the way I explain it to people is when you've got the cane in your hand, you're having to find all the obstacles in front of you yourself. Mm-hmm. So even just walking down the street, for half a mile or something, by the time you get there, you're absolutely knackered because there's bins in the way, there's lampposts in the way, other people in the way. But see when you've got the dog, the dog's job is to kind of guide you around all these obstacles, so you can kind of just switch off when you're walking down the street, just like everybody else does, and it makes you more confident in getting out and about, knowing that you're going to have that assistance.
Absolutely. And is it just a massive bonus that Sam also happens to be a football fan, Jon?
It is, yeah. And I'm delighted he is a football fan, because that's my biggest passion in life. I love football and I love Scottish football. And I think Sam has definitely become the most well-known dog in Scottish football by now. So
it seems to be. Between both you guys, you're everywhere at the moment, and we'll cover that a bit later in the show. But BBC, Radio Clyde, different awards, things, lots going on for both of you. Jon, I know you're a Dundee United fan.
Yeah.
But who does Sam support?
Oh, he's a Celtic fan.
Is it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he's a Celtic fan. Because actually, I must say, I do have a wee soft spot, particularly for the Celtic women's team, because we've been to a lot of the women's games. So we went to, when was it now? It would have been in August. So it was the first game of the season that the Celtic women's team were playing. They played at Celtic Park, actually against Dundee United, funnily enough.
Okay.
And I think Celtic must have seen I put out a tweet on Twitter and said that it was Sam's birthday. I think it was the day after the game. And we arrived at Celtic Park for the game, and the club actually came over with a wee present for Sam's birthday, and it was like a squeaky dog toy from the club shop for his birthday, and they've actually treated us really well. So I think that's the reason that Sam's a Celtic fan, because he gets treats at Celtic Park, and they also gave him a toy as well for his birthday.
He knows where his allegiances lie.
Absolutely.
Wherever the squeaky toys and treats are.
Although he is a regular at Tannadice as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
He's certainly, as you say, one of the best known dogs in Scottish football now. Aside from Tannadice, obviously that's home for you, Jon. Is there a favourite ground for you or Sam? Is there somewhere that you've really enjoyed the setup, the atmosphere, the way you've been looked after?
Yeah, I mean, Celtic Park's definitely up there as one of the best. I always say it, but some of the smaller grounds have also been really unbelievable. So we went just along the road from here at Dumbarton Football Club. They looked after us very well. And actually, one of the grounds that we both visited, and I was really surprised by it, and I really enjoyed the day and the experience. It was Annan Athletic down in the Borders as well. They've got such a really well-branded club, and a really well-attended club, actually. Everybody it's a very much a community-based football club there, and they've got a wee social club that they've just done up with brand new facilities, big massive TV with the football on, and it was such a good day when we went down to Annan. I actually genuinely remember getting the train home that evening and thinking, you know what, I thoroughly enjoyed this visit, even though it was such a long trip down to Annan, but it was worth it. So,
massive Dundee United fan, but soft spots for Celtic and Annan, is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got I'm one that's kind of developed quite a soft spot for quite a few teams. I must say, two others that I really kind of look out for their scores is Clyde and Arbroath as well.
I've been up to Arbroath a couple of times. We know Colin Hamilton, who I think's co-managing just now. Colin played left back for a time, and he's married into my friend's family.
Oh, nice.
And they're a great family club. We found ourselves, they had a push for promotion, didn't they, a couple of years back? And we found ourselves up there right on the coast. It is a cold place to watch football. So cold. I would say Arbroath and Pittodrie are absolutely freezing. We were in the away end when we went up to Pittodrie, because it was a Dundee United game, and I remember, you just get that wind coming off the North Sea right into the away end as well. I think that's why they deliberately put the away fans up there. But it was
Their two grounds, they're probably the two coldest grounds in the UK, probably.
Yeah, I'd say so. Big jackets on for those days.
Absolutely.
John, what's been your biggest buzz at any given game? Any big moments that stand out, or goals scored? Any particular occasions that strike a chord?
So ground number 41 out of 42, we were actually at quite a controversial game. It's still in the news now. It was actually the St Mirren Kilmarnock game with the controversial VAR decision that's still being talked about now. That was there was a big reaction in the crowd, obviously, for that one. And another one that was actually involved Kilmarnock again. We were at Rugby Park for the Kilmarnock Cercle Bruges game. That was a really, really good experience because Rugby Park was sold out for the game, and it was a really, really good atmosphere. I must say that the probably atmosphere-wise, the best ones we've been to are the Dundee Derby games. They are just unbelievable. And it's one of these derbies where you get the banter between the two sets of supporters, but then both sets of supporters will go to the pub and have a pint together after the game and talk to each other. And I'm not so sure you would get that between Rangers and Celtic fans.
Maybe not. John, talk us through the match day experience then. I've heard you on some of your previous media appearances in recent weeks.
Yeah.
And I think you've been quite keen to sing the praises of the various 42 clubs who I think have massively improved their accessibility, and you feel they don't shout enough about it. So what's the match day experience like, maybe from start to finish, as soon as you enter a stadium till you leave after the whistle?
Yeah, so one of the reasons that I became one of the reasons why I was doing this journey was to actually help clubs promote some of the amazing accessibility work that they're doing, because we'd quite often turn up to clubs and we would turn up on the day, the stewards would open the accessible gate, somebody would show us straight to where our designated seat, whether that was in the accessible seating area or maybe in a row where there was quite a few extra seats where Sam could have a stretch out and lie down. And then they would come up to us and say, "Oh, we've got the audio descriptive commentary today. Somebody's doing it from the commentary box. Would you like to listen into that?" And I would go, "Oh, I didn't even know you had this as a service." And they were like, "Yeah, there's a couple of guys here that listen to it every week." That happened at like sort of East Fife, for example, and they're a League Two club and they offer it. And I was like, I had to look on the website before going to the games, and I couldn't find this information. And I was like, clubs need to tell more people about this amazing service. And I think one of the things that could really help is, I always say to like the disability access officers at the club, make the comms guys at your club your best friends, so that you can get in there and get them to post on social media about these sort of things. And even when we went down to like Stirling Albion and Annan Athletic, they had built these new like raised platforms for like wheelchair users, which is quite rare in the league, because a lot of the time the wheelchair users are pitch side and not have the best of views.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, you need to take pictures of this stuff and put it on social media, put it on your website. And that's kind of why I was kind of documenting it, or started to document it as we were going around the grounds, to put it on my own social media pages, to try and show people that actually Scottish football is really quite accessible. And yeah, it's just been, I really wish clubs would shout about it more. And
hopefully, as you continue to do what you're doing, John, they will shout about it more.
Yeah.
You and I spoke before coming on air here about, there's plenty of negative things about Scottish football, if people want to kind of look for them, and sometimes, there's justified moans about the game in the country here. But there's so much to be positive about, and this is one very, very positive aspect of Scottish football, and hopefully we'll start to hear more about it across the board from all 42 clubs and beyond. John, how important is it for you personally to do what you're doing and to raise this awareness across Scottish football?
It's massively important, because I genuinely believe there will be people already sitting in the stands at clubs who would benefit from things like the audio descriptive commentary, whether it be an elderly person or even neurodiverse people with autism, it helps them kind of focus on the match more and things like that. There will already, I would say to clubs, you already probably have people already sitting in the stands who could benefit from the service. And not only that, you're likely to encourage people to maybe even come along to a game for perhaps even for the first time and get them hooked, and then they become season ticket holders. So there's that benefit to clubs as well. And I think, to be fair, the clubs have definitely, a lot of clubs have definitely improved, especially since the sort of COVID lockdowns ended. But they just need to communicate that better, I think. And hopefully by what me and Sam have been doing, hopefully that'll help encourage them to try and encourage more supporters along as well.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt it will. And even on that note, John, I know you've got a fairly notable social media presence at this moment in time, and your Twitter's well worth following. I think you're approaching 10,000 followers there, which is great. Has anyone reached out on the back of what you've been doing, whether it's kind of through private messages or otherwise, to say that it's maybe helped them or inspired them in some way?
Yeah, so by must have been maybe a couple of months ago, I actually had a message from somebody on Instagram. They weren't a guide dog owner. I think they were just an assistance dog owner, and they said that just from following our journey and following our posts, that they actually took their dog along to a game for the first time at the club, and they said now they're regulars at that club, and everybody, the supporters know their dog, the club knows their dog, and that person just felt at ease, and that just, it actually almost made me a wee bit teary, because I was like, you know what, this is the whole reason why I'm doing this. And I always said, if I can just help one person, that's job done for me. But there does seem to be quite a few people that have said what me and Sam are doing is opening doors for other people, and that to me it sounds just mad to think that, but I really, really appreciate comments like that, and it just makes me value what I do as well.
100%, and you're right to do so, John. I think that's exactly what it's all about. You obviously get a lot of enjoyment. Sam gets a lot of enjoyment. Yeah. I can assure folk that Sam is here. He's just under the desk. I keep pointing over there.
He's asleep, I think, at the moment.
He's around somewhere.
We head up there, yeah.
But yeah, there's huge value in it, of course, for you guys and to get the enjoyment out of it. But there's a bigger picture at play, John, and I think you guys are doing some brilliant stuff. Take us back to what it was like for you being a young football fan. I presume, John, you were as football mad then as you are now. What was going to games like back then? Were you able to get along much? Was it a different experience altogether?
Yeah, so I wasn't as regular at games when I was younger as I am now, obviously. I would maybe go to probably a handful of games a season, maybe 4, 5, 6 games a season or that. And they were always with my younger brother. So my younger brother's actually a Celtic fan, and so we went to quite a few Celtic games, and also Dundee United games and St Johnstone as well, and Scotland games. So it was always with really my younger brother that always had somebody with us when we went to games. And back then, that was going back quite a few years now. They didn't have things like the audio descriptive commentary, so I always felt that I was missing out a little piece of it. I still enjoyed being part of the atmosphere in that, but I always felt that I was missing a little piece of the match day experience that would just enhance that for us. And so yeah, I probably more stuck to watching football on TV and listening to it on the radio, and go to maybe a handful of games a season. But since having Sam, and since the clubs has now become quite a regular service at a lot of the clubs in Scotland, it's just it's made me be able to look forward to the weekends and go into games and be able to just go and enjoy doing something that I truly love, which is football, and especially Scottish football.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Can you explain, John, for those who aren't aware of your own condition, what's the experience like if you didn't have the audio descriptive service or anyone to guide you through? What is viewing a game like for you? Yeah,
so I've got 2 really rare eye conditions. One's called microphthalmia, which just literally means small eyes, translated, that's what it means. And so I've got no sight at all in my right eye. And in my left eye, I've got a condition called coloboma, which is They call it like a cleft in the centre of the eye. So my pupil in the left eye is a little bit lower than, it's more towards the sort of bottom of the coloured bit than what most people's are. And that just has an effect where it's definitely more, it's very fuzzy vision in my left eye. So actually what I think represented it quite accurately, if you go and watch the SPFL's video that they done at Forfar,
Yep.
when they show the match footage, they kind of blur it out a wee bit. And they have the audio descriptive commentary, which we had on the day at Forfar, over the top of it. And that gives, as I said to the guys at the SPFL, that's a really accurate representation of probably what I see on a match day. And it actually gives you that representation of how the audio descriptive commentary enhances that experience as well. So what I would say is I encourage people to just watch that small bit of footage where they show the bit of the match footage, watch it with the commentary, then turn the volume off and try and watch that part of the game without it, and then you would see the night and day difference that it makes.
Yeah, do you know, it's a great clip, as I said, and I think it's about 6 or 7 minutes long, and we'll absolutely link to that in the show notes here. And on that, John, and thanks for the description. So I suppose it goes without saying then that the accessibility and the experience offered nowadays completely transforms your match day experience.
100%. And, you know, even when I decided that I wanted to try and see if me and Sam could get around all 42 grounds, I was still totally apprehensive, especially about going to some of the smaller clubs that might not have. I was like, surely they're not going to have the same kind of facilities. But what I've found about the smaller clubs, which I really loved actually, is that they're all kind of embedded in their local communities. And because all the staff and the supporters and the stewards, they all kind of know each other, so they're like all one big family. And they have that little bit more time to give people one-to-one individual support if they need extra help. So like, for example, we turned up to East Fife. The disability access officer met us when we arrived. He was able to take us straight through to our seat himself. He actually did the commentary on the day as well. And that actually happened at most of the grounds that we went to. Even in sort of League 1, League 2 grounds. Same happened at Falkirk as well, which are a bit bigger club. And, you know, we just let them know in advance that we were coming, and every single one of them were just so brilliant with us. And it really actually showed me how accessible Scottish football is, right from the top of the Premiership all the way down to the bottom of League 2.
And it's great to hear of that. It feels like community spirit, you know, at its best there, John. If anyone's listening or viewing this episode at the moment and they find themselves maybe in need of those services, how best for them to approach that? Should they give advance notice to the club in question, maybe in the week or two leading up to a game? How have you found that?
Absolutely. My advice to somebody who's maybe wanting to go along to a game for the first time and needs that little bit additional support, I would always suggest go on the club's website and look for the contact details of the club's disability access officer. So every single club, it's part of a UEFA requirement throughout Europe, they have to appoint somebody in the club as a disability access officer who's like a point of contact for all disabled supporters. And I would suggest go, and the details are all on the website. So I would say your first point of contact would be, if there's an email address for the disability access officer, great, go and give them a wee email a couple of days before the game, or phone up the ticket office and say, you know, I want to come along to the game. It's my first time. I might need a little bit extra support. The ticket office will either be able to help you straight away, or they'll put you in touch with the disability access officer as well. And I've had contact with pretty much them all now, and they are all such an amazing team.
And it's great to hear that. John, talk to us about your love for Dundee United. How did that come about, and is Jim Goodwin the man to help recreate those Jim McLean glory years of the 80s?
Yeah, you know what, I grew up in Fife, so Dundee United was always just over the bridge, and my very first Dundee United game, it was you couldn't have got a better game to be my first one. It was actually a pre-season friendly between Dundee United and Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team.
Yes.
So I think Pep had actually just taken over as manager at Barcelona, so seeing players like Thierry Henry, Lionel Messi, Ronaldinho, I think, was playing at that time as well. I was just seeing them at Tannadice was just like superstars on the pitch. And I actually remember what made me a Dundee United fan was Prince Bobbin. He scored the first goal at we eventually lost the game 5-1, but it gave us that amazing moment where Tannadice just erupted with getting the first goal against that team. But yeah, no, fast forward to now. Is Jim Goodwin the man to recreate the Jim McLean days? I'm not 100% sure if it'll be as good as the Jim McLean days. I think that's going to be a very difficult one to do. But you know what? I actually think Jim Goodwin's doing a good job. If you look at what he did last season in the Championship even, I think I'm right in saying we accumulated the most points that's ever been accumulated in the Championship. And I always said at the start of this season, if we even finished out of the relegation spot like 9th or 10th, I would have been happy with a consolidation season, and I still would be happy with that. But you know what? We've had a really good start, and I think we're still sitting 4th in the table at the moment. So
yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before you leapfrog Rangers into 3rd, John, and we can...
Fingers crossed anyway. we were actually at the Rangers game, and I was so gutted. Like, they were there for the taking.
So 1-0 that finished, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just how did your support of Dundee United come to be? Is that passed on through family or friends, or how did you obviously mentioned your brother's a Celtic fan, but how come you're a United man?
Yeah, so actually I went to a lot of Celtic games when I was younger with my brother because he is a Celtic fan. Celtic were always on the television and stuff, but I actually think that Barcelona game, just the whole experience of that and being at that game, that was actually my first ever live game as well. And I kind of fell in love with Dundee United that way. Mm-hmm. And then over the years, we've been to a couple of Dundee United games. And then I actually worked at St Johnstone for a couple of years. Okay. And I obviously seen United play St Johnstone when they came to McDermott Park and that. And then really ever since sort of after the COVID lockdowns, it's just been... The first game we went to after that, and it was actually Sam's very first game as well, was a Dundee Derby game at Tannadice, and then that just kind of reignited the flame for Dundee United.
Do you know, there's not many folks anywhere who can say that their first live experience was watching Lionel Messi and co. You know, you've started very high there, John. And,
it's been right downhill from there.
And with all respect to everything else, that is a real
it's a good start, isn't it?
High barrier. John, you spoke well of your experiences at Celtic Park. I'm actually going to be speaking to Kevin McColgan and Callum McFadden, who provide the audio descriptive service at Celtic Park, and I'm speaking to them next week, and I'm really looking forward to that chat. Talk us through what sounds like a very positive experience in general at Celtic Park for you.
Yeah, I've actually got a really good relationship with the club at Celtic, and they're one of the clubs that have been so welcoming and so supportive of everything that me and Sam have been doing over the last couple of years. And Kevin and Callum, and there's also Katie who does the audio descriptive commentary. The three of them are they're a really good team. And there's also Alexis, who's the disability access officer, and there's Nicola, who's the access steward there. They make such a really good team together, and just having that, like the commentary service itself is brilliant, but also having the support of the accessibility stewards at the games and just having the processes in place and knowing what you're going to expect in advance of turning up to a game, it just really helps you calm any nerves or any anxiety that you would have before going to a game. And like I said, the four of them, they're just a brilliant team.
Yeah, really good to hear that. But it sounds like we've got a Celtic slant through what we do here, John, and it's great to hear. But it's brilliant to hear that seems to be the case, generally speaking, across the board in Scottish football. So really looking forward to speaking to Kevin and Callum just to get their experiences as well.
Yeah, I think they're really good.
I've heard great things, and I think they both find the work really rewarding. John, since this all kicked off, it seems your own profile, as mentioned, has risen quite a bit. You've been on the BBC. I heard you on Radio Clyde just this week. You've been on various podcasts. You're on the SPFL YouTube channel. As I mentioned, your Twitter following's about to crash through 10,000 followers. How's that all been for you? Have you enjoyed the experience in recent weeks?
It's been so surreal. before this journey, I think I had like 20 followers or something, and you could just tweet a load of rubbish and nobody would even see it. But it's been lovely, and I think, you know, especially on Twitter as well, I think you can see so much negativity on there, and but in my experience, I've had so much positive messages from everybody. Everybody that replies to the tweets or posts on Instagram and stuff that I put out. It's the response has been overwhelming. It really has. It's and it's beyond what anything I could have ever imagined. So no, I'm so grateful to everyone, because all I am is just a big Scottish football fan going to football games. You know, that's at the bottom of it. That's what all it is, really.
I was going to ask just about the support, and it sounds overwhelmingly positive, but have you, on the back of your various appearances and the channels you've been on and the various different things, have you had lots of support from a variety of different places?
Yeah, it's you know, especially through the stuff that we've done on social media and stuff. You know, there's so many people have replied to us and reached out and said, and clubs as well that have you know, maybe not responded publicly, but sent us a private message and just said, you know what, what you're doing is fantastic. And it gives you that bit of encouragement to keep going as well. You know, it's obviously having an impact. And if I can help bring awareness to some of the great work that clubs are doing across the board, then I'm absolutely more than happy to do it.
Brilliant stuff. John, on the back of that achievement, you know, completing all 42 SPFL grounds, I believe there's now a new book in the pipeline, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so just a few months ago, actually, I got a publishing deal to do the book. I'd pitched it to a few publishers, and one came back and says, we absolutely love this story, we would love to do the book with you. So I've written a book called Following Sam, and it is basically just talking about me and Sam's journey around the 42 SPFL grounds, a bit about my background as well, and a bit life before Sam, and a bit about Sam as well and what he's like. And there'll be a bit, you know, with loads of pictures and stuff in the book from our travels. And it's available on Waterstones and Amazon for pre-order now, and it'll be out on the 1st of May next year.
Brilliant. So again, we'll link to that. There's a few things to link to, but we'll get there. How have you found the writing process? Is that something you had experience in, or is it first that you'd turned your hand to that?
It's the first time for me. And, you know, I actually say that with a big smile on my face, because I always remember, I think back to my school days where my English teacher would always hand me back my work and say, no, you need to add more to that. You're not writing enough. And now I'm writing like 50,000 words, and I'm like, this is just crazy. I would love to give her a copy of it, actually, just to say, here you go. Yeah. Is this enough?
I told you I could write. Do you need to be quite disciplined with something like that? I'm sure it's enjoyable, but is it hard work at the same time?
It is, you know, it's enjoyable. I love doing it, but it is hard work, and you do kind of have to be a bit disciplined with it, because there is deadlines to get things done by. So you kind of have to set time aside and say, like, right, I maybe have to do another like 2,000 words today or something. And yeah, you do kind of have to be a bit self-disciplined in that way, because you know you've got a deadline to get things done by. But I've really enjoyed the whole process, and the publishing company that I'm with, McNider and Grace, they've been so supportive as well. So it's a real team effort. But yeah, you're right. It's enjoyable, but it is hard work at the same time.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you're not doing your work, Sam will give you a nudge and keep
it's
it right.
It's a pity you can't do any writing. That's
beyond the book, John, I know that you and Sam have also been shortlisted for the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Award at the Football Content Awards. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. So we got a nomination through, and I put it out there on social media that we'd been nominated, and then like all the people who have given us so much support went and sort of voted for us as well, and we got shortlisted as a finalist at the Football Content Awards for the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion award. And so me and Sam have been invited down to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in November for the big awards ceremony. And you know what? It doesn't really matter to me if we win or not. Just actually being on that finalist list and getting to go to such a big event at a massive football ground as well. It'll be an incredible experience.
Yeah, it sounds like I was looking at it before we came on air. So the award ceremony, as you say, it's at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which in itself looks like an incredible place.
Yeah, totally.
And that's in November. So both you guys are going down, yourself and Sam?
Aye, we'll get the train down to London for the day or two, and and should be a really, really good trip. I'm really looking forward to it. Especially I've never been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium before either, so I'm really looking forward to that. I've heard it's got such amazing facilities as well.
Has Sam made a trip of that length with you before? Is this a big one for him?
We've been down to London a couple of times, so we've actually been to a few games at Wembley, funnily enough, together and that as well. So yeah, he's a well-travelled dog, that's for sure.
It sounds like it. Just in terms of the awards, so the site to visit is footballcontentawards.com/voting. If you scroll down, you'll see that category that Jon and Sam are in, equality, diversity and inclusion. And you do have a few weeks to get your vote in, but just do it now. If you're listening or watching, just do it at the moment. That's one less thing to worry about, and I'll be doing the same. I'll be putting my vote in this afternoon. Before I forget, actually then, Jon, a few things that I'm going to link to in this episode. Number one, I'll link to the Football Content Awards voting page. 2, I'll link to the pre-order page for the book, Following Sam. So you said it's Waterstones and Amazon are doing a pre-order, yeah?
Yeah, they're both on there, yeah.
So we'll link to that. And thirdly, we'll link to your Twitter page, which I'm sure will be well over 10,000 followers in no time. And fourthly, you mentioned that SPFL video from Forfar Station Park at the weekend. It's a great video. It really wraps up everything we're discussing here today, and we'll link to that as well. Jon, it's been a genuine pleasure to have you and Sam here on the Celtic Exchange today, possibly my favourite interview so far.
Oh.
But what's your own final comments on everything that's going on just now, and how much are you looking forward to whatever comes next for you and Sam?
Yeah, I'm taking each day as it comes at the moment. You know, I'm just enjoying the whole journey, and I just want to say a really massive thank you to everybody who's supported this journey. Thank you to the SPFL who have, went out their way to recognise our achievement and everything, and just thank everybody involved with Scottish football who's going out their way to even make the match day more accessible for everyone. You know, thank you so much, and thank you to you as well, Tino, for having us on today.
An absolute pleasure. Jon and Sam, you're record breakers, you're soon-to-be authors, you're now media celebs, but all that aside, it's just been brilliant to have you on. We're all really looking forward to whatever comes next for you both. Thanks to you both for being here on the Celtic Exchange. Congratulations on everything you've achieved so far, and all the very best with whatever comes next.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.